the F92 M8. Do I need to say anything else? Today we're going to make sure this car's audio system sounds as good as this car looks and performs with our Alpha One Signature Edition speakers to go along with the Alpha One amp that this customer recently got. Welcome back. Dylan here. Recently we had a customer come in with a gorgeous F92 M8 get our Alpha One amplifier installed. And we didn't film that because we do have a similar video on our channel already, but today he decided to take it a step further and get our brand new Alpha One Signature Edition speakers installed. But before we get to that installation, let's learn a little bit more about the amp that was installed and the Signature Edition speakers that will be installed.
Let's start with the amp. This plug-and-play amp delivers 840 watts RMS and 1,680 watts max power, which is over 3 times the factory amp. It features 11 output channels, which includes one RCA line-level pre-out to drive an additional subwoofer amplifier. It can also hold up to 10 tuning files that can be changed to fit your musical preferences. This power and tuning capability is exactly what the Signature Edition speakers need, which brings us to the next part. Each speaker in the Signature line has been redesigned and rebuilt from the ground up to deliver the cleanest sound possible at any volume. Everything from the textile domes in the tweeters to ventilated voice coil gaps in the mids, increased power handling for the woofers, and even to the MKP capacitors used in the crossovers is to deliver one result: the last sound system you'll ever need in your BMW.
To take full advantage of the superiority of the Alpha One Signature Edition speakers, they must be paired with one of our Alpha One amps. So if you already have one of our amps like this customer in your F92, we'll make sure we hook you up with a retune. However, if you're getting both together at the same time, well, then you are going to get a system that's ready to go for your BMW, tuned for your ears and the music that you listen to.
To learn all about the specs for this amp and the Signature speakers, check out the links in the description to see our site and more videos.
With all of that out of the way, let's get to the installation of the Signature Edition speakers in this F92 M8. Without further ado, Jarrett, take it away.
This customer opted for only the front system upgrade, which includes Signature speakers for both front doors, Signature underseat woofers, and Alpha One original speakers for the center channel in the dash. The reason we're using originals here is because BMW simply does not give us enough room for the Signature crossover in this specific chassis. The first thing you'll need to do before working with anything electronic in your car is to disconnect the battery. Since this car has frameless windows, you do want to make sure that both doors are either open or you have the windows down to avoid potentially damaging the glass with the battery disconnected. Start by popping the trunk, and with the aid of one of our trim tools, pop up the floor panel. With the 10mm socket, remove the negative battery terminal and set it aside. You can also tie a towel around the trunk latch to prevent it from locking you out in the event it closes. Let's get to the installation. We'll be showing you on the passenger side, but the driver's side is the same. Start by using one of our trim tools to remove this cover behind the handle. Remove the T20 screw behind it. Next, we need to remove this trim, which BMW says must be done in a certain way. Start by using our trim tool in your hands to pop free the upper part. Jarrett is using some heat shrink from one of the crossovers to protect the panel. Next, turn the cover on the handle inward about 35 degrees in order to release the clip, and then back about 25 degrees. Finally, use the trim tool in the back corner to pop free the clip. Strange, but that's by the book per BMW. Remove the two T20 screws. To remove the panel, have something ready to lean it on so you don't have to disconnect all of it. And then start by inserting a trim tool in the upper corner to pop it free, and then continue to pop the fasteners out by hand to free the panel. To give the panel slack to stand, you do need to unroute and disconnect the handle cable like so. Once done, rest it vertically like this so you can access the mid behind the door.
Real quick everyone, to make this installation easier and deal with some space constraints, we're going to be connecting the crossovers to our mids in the doors in a bit of an unconventional way. So please make sure you're only following along with these steps if you have an F92 M8, as any other chassis will be different. Now we'll be releasing a video in the near future about all the correct ways to install our equipment, but for now, back to the video.
Disconnect the two connectors going to the factory mid,
and then remove the 3 T20 screws holding the mid in place. Remove the mid and replace it with a signature S45, using the factory screws to secure it. Plug the lead from the tweeter, which has the green wire, into the S45. While we would normally use the lead directly from the crossover, we're going to use the factory run as an extension cable for an easier installation. For the tweeter in the door panel, rest it on a protected surface to avoid damaging the panel, and disconnect the tweeter like so. Since these are glued in, use a pick tool to remove the factory glue. Once the glue is removed, carefully push back the tabs holding it down while pulling up on the leads to free it. Clean up any excess glue. Drop in a signature tweeter. If you notice they won't completely snap in place, you may need to add some hot glue of your own to secure them like the factory speakers needed to be. Tidy up the lead and use a cable tie to secure it. To mount and connect the crossover, start by removing the backing of one of the thicker double-sided foam pieces and stick it to the back of the crossover. Peel back the other side and stick it right here as shown. Plug the tweeter into TW out on the crossover. Take mid out and plug it into the factory tweeter lead in the panel that we talked about using as an extension cable. Tidy everything up using cable ties. The final connection is plugging the main feed from the amp into in on the crossover. At this point, the panel can be reinstalled. Reroute and reconnect the handle cable. Slide the door pan through the hole on the panel, line up the fasteners, and persuade the panel back in place. Replace the T20 screw behind the handle. We recommend not using a power tool and going slowly, as the part the screw threads into can easily snap, causing the screw to spin endlessly. Replace the lower two as normal. Replace the lower trim from the bottom first and snapping in the top. Replace the trim behind the handle, and then do the same all on the driver's side. Now let's move on to the center channel. Very carefully insert a pick tool under the trim right behind the screen and lift up. Once you have enough room, insert a trim tool under the grill or use your hands to start popping it free. Work your way all the way around to free and remove it. Remove the 3 T20 screws holding the mid in place. Disconnect and remove it. The tweeter is a bit different, being in its own housing. Start by unplugging this connector here and unrouting the tweeter cable. Carefully pry up with a trim tool from this location. Keep prying up from the bottom and finally the top, articulating it out. Pull back the tabs to pop the tweeter from the housing and remove it. Snap in an Alpha 1 original tweeter. Articulate the housing back in place from the top first and snap it down, making sure the lead is accessible and routing it in the factory location. Reconnect the white connector. Grab the Alpha 1 original crossover filter cable and plug the feed from the amp into it. Grab the Alpha 1 original A40 and plug the tweeter into one side and the crossover filter cable into the other. Push the cables into the area under where the speaker will go and reinstall the factory screws. Snap the grill back in place once everything is secure and tidy. To install the woofers, you will need to slide the seats forward and back. To do that, you'll need to reconnect the battery temporarily. We recommend unbolting both seats completely and then disconnecting the battery again before changing out the woofers. Start by removing the front T50 bolts. Slide the seat forward and then remove the two in the back. And then tilt the seat back so you can access the woofer grill. Once you do this with both seats, we recommend disconnecting the battery again. Remove the 4 T20 screws holding the grill down. Remove the grill. Next, you'll need to remove the 4 T20 screws holding the woofer to the housing, but the last one is inaccessible until you free the housing from the chassis. Start by unplugging the woofer, and then removing the two 10mm bolts located near the connector. At this point, you can peel back the carpet and move the housing around as needed to remove the 4 T20 screws holding the woofer to the housing, and then remove the woofer. Drop in a signature S90 woofer and reverse the process. Screw it down. Replace the two 10mm bolts. Plug it in. Push the carpeting back in place. Put the grill back on and replace the 4 screws. Repeat this on the driver's side. Once the driver's side is done, you can reconnect your battery. After it's reconnected, push the floor panel back in place. Remove the towel from the latch and close the trunk. Now you could drop the seats back down and put the rear screws in place. Don't tighten them down all the way, as you'll still need to line up the front bolts. Slide the seat back to fully install the front bolts. After that, completely tighten down the rear bolts, and the installation is done. So there you have it. That is how you install our brand new Alpha 1 Signature Edition speakers in an F92 M8. Now, this M8 has a complete Alpha 1 system. Want this for your F92 M8 or other compatible BMW? Head on over to our site, enter your VIN to get the right kit for your ride. Having more questions about the speakers or amp? You can reach out to our sales team via chat on our site or by calling. Already have the amp or speakers and have any more questions about the installation or anything else? You can reach out to our sales team with your order number and they will be eager to assist. But as always, for more tips and tricks, product reviews, and so much more for BMWs, Minis, Supras, and Teslas, make sure you subscribe and don't forget to ring that bell. Want to know what's happening first? Head on over to our site and sign up for our newsletter. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok as well. Thanks for watching.